9/11 plus 18 years. And we're learning tonight that this president may ask his Secretary of State to pull double duty as the next national security advisor. Congressman Mike Rogers is a Republican from Alabama. Congressman, it's good to have you on Primetime, especially today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, thank you for taking the invitation. I hope we do it even more often. Now, one of the reasons that you have these different positions around a president is because you want checks and balances. You want people around him with different influences. Does that reality give you any concerns about having someone fill two slots, even someone who I'm sure you hold in high esteem like the Secretary of State?
Yeah, I served with Mike Pompeo before he left to go to work with the administration. He's an incredible intellect and a great fella. But the president needs to have the kind of team he wants. You know, it's not unprecedented for the Kissinger model to be used where both the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor are one person. I think the president's got to make a decision about whether or not that's going to fit his style, and I don't think that he's made that decision yet.
Concerns, given that this is your universe of thought about how safe are we, what should the policies be? You know, here we are on 9/11. We have an incomplete team. We've been through three already. This will be the fourth, assuming that even if it's Pompeo. Any concerns about that?
No, I think the president's got great instincts about what works for him and whether or not the workload can be managed by one person. This is a new story that's just been circulating. I haven't heard the president say he wants to do this, and I'm not sure Mike Pompeo would be comfortable with that, even if it was suggested.
How do you feel about the state of our national security?
I feel good. I feel proud that we've made some great strides to particularly when it comes to our homeland, to keep us safe and secure. We've got great intelligence apparatus now to protect from events like what we suffered 18 years ago. We've done a great job of training and equipping our first responders, and it's been demonstrated repeatedly. We've got, though, a very dangerous world out there, not just domestically but internationally, with more threats than we had 18 years ago. So that's pretty sobering.
Certainly there is a danger without. More and more we've been hearing about the danger within. Do you share concerns about the rise of extremist right-wing violence in this country?
I sure do. We had a hearing yesterday in the Homeland Security Committee talking about that very fact, that while we have to keep our eye on these foreign threats, the growing threat here at home is disturbing, and it's given rise to our paying a lot more attention to it. This online radicalization and these rogue websites have really energized an element of people that can cause us great problems if we don't find a way to deal with it.
Why now?
Well, it's just because it's growing. It's just that it has a lot to do with internet and social media and these websites that are starting to use recruitment techniques that foreign terrorists used to use internationally. Now these people are using it to radicalize here in the country. We had a report from the FBI in May that they currently have over 1,000 cases open on people on our soil that are terrorists, domestic terrorists that may be radicalized by foreign terrorist organizations or from right-wing or left-wing groups here in the country. But this is a growing trend, and I think it has more to do with the way information is communicated than anything else.
I don't understand the partisan apportionment on this thing. For us, hate is hate, right?
Right.
I'm sure you and I agree on that. But there seems to be a partisan instinct of saying, well, if we're going to talk about Nazis or right-wing extremists, you got to talk about those people in Antifa also. Not only do the statistics not support that, but the killing is clearly coming from one aspect of this. Why make it partisan? You know, these people you don't own the right-wing extremists in the Republican Party. Antifa isn't part of the Democratic Party. Why not just focus on them instead of playing politics with it, as we've seen from the president?
Well, that's not what I've seen, and I know I didn't see it yesterday in our hearing. We had a great panel of a tremendous experts, and they didn't paint that picture. They painted it as one where we have to look at the complete spectrum. You're exactly right. The largest percentage of the terrorism has come from right-wing groups, but they made the point we have to keep our eye on the full spectrum because the others are getting more aggressive too. Sure. And that was the only point that was made, and it wasn't a partisan point. I was tickled by the fact, because I've been on this committee since it was established, in fact, when it was still a select committee, and we generally aren't very partisan. In yesterday's hearing, there was no partisanship.
Great.
We took this with a very sober approach. And at the end of the hearing, both the chairman and I made the comment that this is one of the best hearings we ever had, because we took it as Americans. We were looking at this problem as Americans, and there was not a scintilla of partisanship in this hearing.
Well, look, that is a gift on 9/11,
rare.
and hopefully an indication of a way forward. I'm all fine with you guys having partisan fights as long as it winds up with finding some common ground to actually do something for the rest of us. And let me do my part. Congressman Mike Rogers, you are always welcome on this show to talk about policy and what matters, even if there's a disagreement on the